In January 2019, along with giving the Sea Life Trust the Shining World Compassion Award to recognize its noble work, Supreme Master Shanghai also made a humble contribution of $15,000 towards the charity's dolphin and whale care, with all love and gratitude in God's mercy. May you and all involved, as well as the whales, be protected always by the Providence. As we are reporting this, Supreme Master Shanghai is lovingly sending another $10,000 to Sea Life Trust to further this noble work with all love and gratitude in God's protection. Please continue watching to find out more. Beloved viewers, I am Kolfina. The people of Iceland like to say "Góðan daginn" to visitors, which means good day in Icelandic. The peace-loving people of Iceland wish for tranquility and happiness to be around you, your families, and the world. Welcome to our program titled Sea Life Trust – Safeguarding Marine Life and Habitats Part 1 of 3. In today's show, we are going to introduce a group of good people who are devoted to protecting the world's oceans and marine lives. Sea Life Trust is a charity registered in England and Wales, United Kingdom, and a Shining World Compassion Award recipient. It champions the need for plastic-free oceans and an end to the over-exploitation of marine life through global projects and campaigns, and runs marine animal sanctuaries. Recently, Sea Life Trust set a world record and created the first ever open water sanctuary for beluga whales. The haven provides a natural home for the two previously captive whales, Little White and Little Grey, who used to live in an aquarium in Shanghai, China. The relocation of the two little beluga whales is the first step in Sea Life Trust's ambitious plan, which includes rescuing more of the 300 beluga whales which are currently living in captivity around the world. We are glad we had the opportunity to interview Andy Bull, head of Sea Life Trust. He now shares what Sea Life Trust does and its vision.
Hello, and thank you for the opportunity to be on Supreme Master Television today. I'm Andy Bull, and I'm the head of a charity called the Sea Life Trust. And the Sea Life Trust is a global charity dedicated to making a positive difference to marine life and their habitat. We do that in three main ways. So we campaign to make that difference for marine life. So we've campaigned successfully to help create new marine protected areas across the world. We've campaigned to reduce plastic pollution as well and encourage people to change their behaviour to help reduce that problem. We also fund projects that make a practical difference to marine life and habitat across the world. So we've protected things like grey nurse shark habitat in Australia. We've helped protect sea turtles from accidental capture in fishing nets in the Pacific, as a couple of examples. Lastly, and the most exciting way I think we make a difference is through two sanctuaries, marine life sanctuaries that we own and run. So we have a seal sanctuary in the UK, which rescues, rehabilitates and releases sick and injured seal pups every year. And our newest sanctuary is actually a world first. It's the Beluga Whale Sanctuary in Iceland, which will be home to two whales coming from an aquarium or a water park in Shanghai in China to live in a bay in Iceland in a more natural environment.
The Beluga Whale Sanctuary provides a shelter not only for captive whales but also for the injured puffins found in the Westmannaeyjar Islands by the Puffling Patrol. This is a group of community members who save lost baby puffins. the sanctuary established the Puffin Rescue Center to take care of the rescued puffins until they can be released back into the wild. Sea Life Trust's Cornish Seal Sanctuary was originally founded by the late Ken Jones, and he moved it to Gwick, UK in 1975. Sick and injured seal pups from around the Cornish coastline are rescued and cared for by the sanctuary's seal hospital. Once they have made a full recovery, the pups are released back into the sea. For those that have long-term health conditions and cannot easily survive in the wild, the Cornish Seal Sanctuary provides a permanent home for them. Kind viewers, we will now pause for a constructive message. We'll be right back. Please stay tuned to Supreme Master Television. Welcome back to Sea Life Trust Safeguarding Marine Life and Habitats, Part 1 of 3 on Supreme Master Television. What else is the Sea Life Trust doing to protect marine lives?
The Sea Life Trust campaigns and supports projects that help to make a positive difference to marine life and their habitat. And one of our focus areas is on reducing plastic pollution. And we do that in a number of ways. We fund projects that help to reduce pollution in our oceans. So in Australia, as an example, we're funding sea bins, which are bins that go in harbour areas and others and kind of passively collect litter that is in the harbour area there. We support projects like that. We also support projects that help to remove discarded fishing nets from the oceans as well, which are actual killers. They're traps for marine life. So we're really proud to have funded an initiative in Cornwall in the UK here this year that helped to remove about 500 kilograms of discarded fishing nets from the ocean there. And in our seal sanctuary down in Cornwall, we see seals coming in as a result of entanglement in those nets. So by helping to reduce that, we're making a positive difference. So the other way we work, every year on June the 8th, World Oceans Day, we run a global beach clean in partnership with Sea Life across the world. We start at sunup or in the morning over in New Zealand and go throughout a 24-hour period across the world with Sea Life staff and volunteers going out onto beaches across the world, removing plastic litter from the beaches. And the vast majority of the litter we pick up is actually plastic. It's about 70% of what we pick up now. We look to educate people about that threat to our oceans, but what we don't want to do is overwhelm people and feel they can't help. So the way we incentivize people to get involved is by actually giving them simple solutions to that problem. So one simple solution is to take part in our beach clean on June the 8th every year. It's a few hours of time, but really vital in terms of helping to remove harmful litter from the environment and protecting marine life. But then also we can make changes in our own lives as well, in terms of what we buy, what we use. So we try and educate people through our sanctuaries and through our website about the simple changes they can make in terms of reducing the single-use plastic that they use in their daily lives. Simple things like that are becoming quite commonplace now in some countries in the world, using a reusable carrier bag, using a reusable coffee cup or teacup if you're out and about, trying to buy fruit and vegetables in places where you're not encouraged to put it in plastic bags to buy it. All of those things that really help to make a difference. So people can get involved in that way. We're not helpless in this situation. Sometimes the information given to us is all negative and is much more about the threat for our marine life and habitat. We can make a difference. And we can do that in these simple ways, and we must never forget that. And I think for me, that's what we try and do as an organisation, is to educate people and tell them that they're not helpless, that they can make little changes that make a big difference collectively.
In January 2019, along with giving the Sea Life Trust the Shining World Compassion Award to recognize its noble work, Supreme Master Shanghai also made a humble contribution of $15,000 towards the charity's dolphin and whale care, with all love and gratitude in God's mercy. May you and all involved, as well as the whales, be protected always by the Providence. As we are reporting this, Supreme Master Shanghai is lovingly sending another $10,000 to Sea Life Trust to further this noble work, with all love and gratitude in God's protection. Please continue watching to find out more. Today, we continue our interview with Andy Bull, the head of the Sea Life Trust. He will tell the story of the Beluga Whale Sanctuary and the challenges involved in returning the 2 beluga whales from the water park back to the ocean.
The Beluga Whale Sanctuary really came about in 2012. Little White and Little Grey, the 2 whales who are at the heart of this project, have had many significant moments in their lives across the years. But in 2012, there was a really significant moment when the water park in Shanghai, where they lived and were performing daily to big audiences in a specially built auditorium, was taken over by a company called Merlin Entertainments. And Merlin Entertainments work with the Sea Life Trust. We're one of their partners. They don't believe, like we don't, that beluga whales or other cetaceans, whales and dolphins, should be performing in front of humans for entertainment. So they immediately began working with us and with our other partner, Whale and Dolphin Conservation, to find an alternative solution for Little White and Little Grey. And from that, the sanctuary was born.
The pair of beluga whales needed to be moved almost 10,000 kilometers from Shanghai, China to Heimaey Island in Iceland. Nothing like this had ever been done before. Let us learn about the challenging moments on the journey from Mr. Bull.
There have been many challenges in creating this world's first sanctuary for whales, coming from a captive environment to a more natural environment. Firstly, it was about finding the right location, and that took the longest period of time, actually 4 years, until we ultimately found Kletsvik Bay on the island of Heimaey off the south coast of Iceland, which is the perfect environment for this sanctuary. It's the most beautiful bay, enclosed on 3 sides by cliffs, so it's protected from what can be bad weather in Iceland quite regularly. It's a space that's 32,000 square metres, 30 times bigger than the stadium, the display area that Little White and Little Grey came from in Shanghai. It's enclosed, so allows us to put nets across to separate it from the open ocean to keep Little White and Little Grey safe in that space. But once we'd found that location, really the next big challenge for us was, how do you move 2 whales, Little White and Little Grey, 6,000 miles from one side of the world to the other, from the water park in Shanghai where they were living to Iceland, which will be their new permanent home in Kletsvik Bay. And that took a lot of planning and preparation to do. And really, there was a good solid 18 months of preparation and planning in making sure that move went well for Little White and Little Grey. Because throughout all of this project, our focus is on Little White and Little Grey's welfare. So the stages we had to go through in moving Little White and Little Grey, there were kind of 3 main stages, I suppose you would say. The first is preparing them for the move. So they'd been living in the water park in the small space they were in there for 9 years. And over that time, they were in water that's roughly 15 degrees. Where they're moving to is at the lowest point in January, February is about 6 or 7 degrees. So the first thing you have to do is feed them so that they build up their blubber layer, which will keep them warm in that cold water. So we spent a lot of time on their nutrition and making sure we were feeding them the right foods to be able to build up that blubber layer.
Compassionate viewers, we will now pause for a constructive message. We'll be right back. Please stay tuned to Supreme Master Television. Welcome back to Sea Life Trust Safeguarding Marine Life and Habitats Part 2 of 3 on Supreme Master Television. Mr. Bull will tell us more about the preparation for the whale's amazing journey.
But also, in an aquarium or water park, they don't dive to the depths that they will do in the wild. They don't swim underwater for as long as they will do in the wild. So we had to train them to hold their breath for longer. We had to build their stamina as well, with the care team there. So a lot of time was spent in preparing them physically for that journey, if you like, and mentally. But then the next part was about training them and desensitizing them to the equipment that would be used to transport them, because it's a complex journey and it involves a journey by road first from the aquarium in Shanghai to the international airport on the back of a lorry. They're then taken from that lorry, put onto a plane, and flown for 10.5 hours from China to Iceland. And then at the other end, they're offloaded again onto another lorry, which travels for 3.5 hours, down to a ferry port, which is half an hour from the island. And then the last leg of the journey is half an hour by ferry to the island. So it's quite a complex journey. And we created and built 2 special containers for little white and little grey to travel in. Luxury accommodation, if you like, first-class accommodation on the journey. So we created these containers that were built to hold these 4-metre-long, 1-ton animals that would keep them comfortable through the journey. So we had to specially build slings, which were used to lift them out of the pool and back into the pool in Iceland when they arrived as well. And they spent the entire journey in those. There was a lot of complex planning there, but then it was also about the people looking after Little White and Little Grey through that journey. We needed a vet and one of their care team members with them on the flight. So we had to work with Cargolux Airlines, who generously donated the flight to us for the journey, to ensure that staff could have access to Little White and Little Grey to make sure they were comfortable through the journey, because that's a big part. Beluga whales don't like change, is one thing I've learned through all of this. And you help manage that change and reduce their stress through that change by maintaining the contact they have with the people they know and their care team members. So that contact during the flight was very important, and monitoring them during that flight. We needed that all the way through the journey.
We appreciate the efforts of the vet and care team who looked after the 2 whales and Cargolux Airlines, which kindly provided their flight to Iceland free of charge. Without your selfless dedication and love, this great project could never have happened. Welcome to our show titled Sea Life Trust Safeguarding Marine Life and Habitats Part 3 of 3. Sea Life Trust is a global charity and a Shining World Compassion Award recipient dedicated to protecting marine animals and their habitats. It was entrusted by Merlin Entertainments Limited, a UK-based family entertainment company headquartered in Poole, Dorset, UK, to send 2 beluga whales living in a Merlin-owned aquarium in Shanghai, China, back to their natural ocean habitat. The Beluga Whale Sanctuary was established by Sea Life Trust to free the pair and other belugas in captivity. On today's show, we invite you to join us in enjoying the touching moment that the 2 belugas, Little Grey and Little White, returned to their original home, the ocean.
The momentous moment for them really was when they landed in Iceland on the 19th of June 2019 to begin their new life.
We asked Andy Bull, the head of Sea Life Trust, about the whales' relationship with those that care for them on a daily basis. Let's hear his observations.
The bond between little white and little grey and their carers is really important. So in the wild, beluga whales live in large pods, groups of between 10 and 20 in the wild, up to over 100 sometimes at certain points during the year. And they have really complex family structures and social structures, which are really important for their mental health and welfare. So actually, the carers form a really important bond with the belugas throughout this process. And the great thing that happened in moving little white and little grey from China to Iceland was that 4 of their carers in China actually committed to move with the whales, which is absolutely amazing. It's an amazing commitment on their part, given family ties and other things that they have back there. But it's also great for little white and little grey because it means that there's a familiarity for them. Beluga whales don't like change. So the more you can keep things constant for them, the more you're looking after their welfare through this process. So that's been a really important part of this project for us. And that commitment from those four members of the care team in China to move with the whales was so important.
Upon arrival to Iceland, the belugas were first placed in the sanctuary's care pool to acclimatize for a short period of time before being moved out into the wider bay. Finally, on August 8, 2019, Little Grey and Little White were sent to a safe natural home in Klettsvik Bay, Iceland. It was the first time that they had swam in a natural environment after being captive for 10 years.
Seeing Little White and Little Grey out here together in Klettsvik Bay was an amazing feeling this morning. Seeing them breaching together, the sunlight glinting off their backs, they won't have felt direct sunlight like that since they were very young animals when they were first taken from the wild. All the sunlight they've felt has been through windows in indoor pools. So to see that was just absolutely amazing.
The goals of the sanctuary are to provide a more natural life for the belugas in their care, advance beluga-related knowledge through research and education, and support the protection of belugas in the wild. Caring for Little White and Little Grey is the starting point and hopefully will be a model for releasing hundreds of other captive whales.
When you look at the Beluga Whale Sanctuary, with Little White and Little Grey, they were captured from the wild at a very, very young age. They were 2 or 3 years old as far as we can ascertain. So they've spent the last 10 years in captivity. It's highly unlikely that they would be able to be released back into the wild and the open ocean. So our sanctuary provides a safe, natural home for them when they can't be released back into the wild. So we're committed to caring for Little White and Little Grey for the rest of their lives and providing them as natural a life as possible. But this is a world's first. So nobody's done this before, and nobody's tracked and monitored the journey that Little White and Little Grey will go on in terms of how they adapt back into that natural environment.
It is not the end of the story, but the beginning of another long journey. We will now pause for a constructive message and return. Please stay tuned to Supreme Master Television. Welcome back to Sea Life Trust Safeguarding Marine Life and Habitats Part 303 on Supreme Master Television. Why is it so important to make the Little Grey and Little White project successful? It is not only for the welfare of the 2 littles, but also for the other 300 captive beluga whales in the world. Mr. Bull shares with us a touching moment of inspiration he received from the 2 littles.
And Little White and Little Grey had gone into the pool in the early hours of the morning. And I was stood alone by that window at about, 2:30 in the morning, I think, after that long journey they'd been on. And they both swam past the window and looked directly at me as if to say, we're your responsibility now. And that was a real moment for me in this, when I realised, yes, we have that responsibility for these two animals, both for their welfare, but as ambassadors, actually, for the 300 other beluga whales who currently live in aquariums and captive facilities across the world. If we can show that Little White and Little Grey adapt and have a better life and better welfare in a more natural environment, then that's got to encourage other people to follow suit and to let us move their whales to join Little White and Little Grey in Iceland as well. Another important part of our project is actually the research we do alongside and what we can learn from Little White and Little Grey as ambassadors for those other beluga whales in captivity, the hundreds of other beluga whales in captivity at the moment. Because what we learn from them will hopefully mean when another beluga whale comes to join them in our sanctuary pod and in the bay, that what we've learned from Little White and Little Grey makes that adaptation quicker, easier for that whale, but maybe means they move a little bit further along that spectrum of rewilding as well. And, the ultimate goal would be that we're able to release some of the beluga whales that come to us back into the wild. But I think we're a bit of a way from that at the moment in terms of the learnings and the understanding we've got to go through of this journey as a world first.
Lastly, Mr. Bull would like to thank Supreme Master Shanghai for her support of the Sea Life Trust's Beluga Whale Sanctuary.
I can't thank the Supreme Master enough for the support that's been given to our Beluga Whale Sanctuary so far. And we can't hope to achieve what we want to with Little White and Little Grey and with other beluga whales, with those other 300 plus beluga whales in captivity at the moment, without support from organisations, from individuals like the Supreme Master and from others. So thank you very much for the support so far, and we hope that we can continue to rely on support as we move forward.
In January 2019, along with giving the Sea Life Trust the Shining World Compassion Award to recognize its noble work, Supreme Master Shanghai also made a humble contribution of $15,000 towards the charity's dolphin and whale care with all love and gratitude in God's mercy. May you and all involved, as well as the whales, be protected always by the Providence. As we are reporting this, Supreme Master Shanghai is lovingly sending another $10,000 to Sea Life Trust to further this noble work, with all love and gratitude in God's protection. Supreme Master Shanghai is deeply grateful to the beloved God for all the financial help, comfort and support to the afflicted and needy and or any good cause over the years as a humble vessel for His compassion and love toward His precious children. For more information about the Sea Life Trust, please visit sealifetrust.org, Facebook @Sea Life Trust. We thank Mr. Bull, the Sea Life Trust team and all the beautiful people who contribute to rescuing the lovely marine beings and cleaning our ocean. May God bless you and all our ocean animal friends. Brilliant viewers, thank you for joining us today. Coming up next is 7 questions from Alexander the Great, part 8 of 8 on Between Master and Disciples, right after noteworthy news. May all humans create more loving friendships with our animal co-inhabitants.
Our programs offer many languages. Please visit suprememastertv.com/schedule and suprememastertv.com/GPGW.